Right then, Europa League football is back, and I'm sure we're all really ecstatic about that. We're playing Feyenoord at Old Trafford. This is the full-time Devils preview for that game. I'm joined by Adam McCullough, I'm joined by Statman Dave, and Stephen Howson is here as well. We're going to talk about everything going into this game and whether Man United can get that all-important 3 points. So let's start with a question that was sent in by Javier Pens on Twitter, at Javier Pens. And he says, has the Europa League been beneficial to the team and utilised correctly? Howson, what do you say to that?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's been a massive distraction. One which we've fielded like a 80 to 90% full strength side. We've done a bit of slight rotation in there, but we've not really gone for a full rotation. And I think that's led to some of the issues that we've seen in the main competition in the league a little bit. We've struggled. We've lost games that we perhaps shouldn't have lost, that we didn't think we was going to lose on paper. I get that the club wants to qualify, but me as a fan, if we went out, wouldn't really care.
Dave, I think that's an interesting question when he's asked about have we utilised it correctly? Because I think there's a lot of players on our fringes that would have been expecting to play games. I mean, I know a player that I think that a lot of United fans expected to get games in this competition was Memphis Depay. So do you think that maybe Jose's not been utilising these players as he could have done in this competition?
Yeah, I think it's a strange one because United didn't do so well in the first few games. They kind of needed to throw some of those players in, but I think it's been good for Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba's been absolutely awesome in the Europa League this season. In terms of passes completed, chance created, he's been fantastic scoring goals. I think for him, it's kind of freed him up. It's given him a bit of a platform to play with that sort of no-pressure football so he can get his rhythm. So for Pogba, it's been good. But for Memphis, for MkHITARYAN, players that are around the fringe, potentially for Martial playing as a central striker and not being chucked out on that left wing, could have been a good option to do that. So maybe Mourinho needs to tweak it in the last few group games. But Feyenoord is a big game because United have got to win this.
Adam, do you think that it's affected our Premier League campaign negatively then, or do you think that that's just over-exaggerating a little bit?
Well, in the games after the Europa League against Watford, Stoke, Chelsea, Swansea, we've only got 4 points. Yeah. So we've dropped 8 points in those games. Now, people say, Europa League's a chance into the Champions League. I can't stand it. I think if we hadn't had Europa League, we would have got more points in that game. We'd be in the top 4 and we'd be in a better position to get Champions League. So I don't think the Europa League is that great. I thought it'd be great for us this season in the sense that we could use the likes of Memphis, like you guys have said, other players that are coming through, Timothy Fosu, Mensah, etc. But because of the form we've been in generally this season, Jose Mourinho seems to have opted to go with a full strength to try and use Europa League to boost confidence. And a lot of the times they haven't done, and we've lost games or draw, whatever. But lackluster performances at home against Zorya, you don't expect those. Against Fenerbahce was a decent performance, yes. But apart from that, can't remember many times this season thinking, thank God we're in the Europa League.
What it seems like at times as well in the Europa League is it seems like he's played these strong teams and the players out there just don't seem that bothered. And it feels like if we actually played maybe a slightly weaker team, a team full of players on the fringes who are desperate to get into the first team, then maybe they'd be more willing to put a bit more effort in and go for it a little bit more. So it has been odd, the teams that we've seen in the competition.
Hey, Gaz,
so
can
far.
I just say,
Go on, Alison.
Adam just said then a second ago, loads of people say this is a chance for us to get into the Champions League next season. I hear that all the time, and I hate it. Saying you want to get into the Champions League by winning the Europa League is like trying to win the lottery to pay your rent at the end of the week. It might be an idea that might work in theory, but percentage-wise, it's very, very unlikely to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of games that you've actually got to play in the competition to win the thing is ridiculous, to the point where it's almost definitely going to have a negative effect on your Premier League campaign. So I agree with you there, Howson, to be honest. Right then, boys, here's another point that was made by F2P Mike on Twitter, and I think that this is one that's going to get quite a good reaction, to be honest. He says, is Martial a one-season wonder? Guys, you know what? I'm gonna since after that reaction from Adam, I think that he's gonna echo my views, and I think you probably all are as well. So Adam, let's start with you. Tell F2P Mike why he's talking rubbish.
People are just so full of shit these days. I mean, did you see the reaction to Marcus Rashford for their goal at the weekend? He's a striker and he didn't track back his man. Fair enough, yeah. Marcus Rashford should have tracked him back. but he's a striker who got caught out of position. How often do you see that down the years? These guys are young players.
Yeah.
These players aren't going to be playing at their peak every single game. Martial didn't play badly against Arsenal. He was poor in the sense that his shots seemed to lack any power or anything. But you're talking about a player that has had injuries. He's coming. He went away for the Euros as well, so he hasn't really had a break. He still is in a new league for him. Yes, he was great for us last season, but as they say, a second season's always more difficult. I haven't got any concerns about Anthony Martial. The guy is a class act, and Manchester United need him. One season wonder. Bloody hell, man.
Is that how quickly we're starting writing off world-class potential players? Is that how quickly we're doing it?
Yeah, that's what we're doing, mate.
Out of a dozen average games, forget about him, sell him, move him on.
Mate, these are just the.
It's not like we've got a new manager and new tactics and everything.
This is just the modern day football fan. This is literally just the modern day football fan, where if things aren't going right for a couple of months, then it's all awful. It's all rubbish. Dave, do you agree that it's nonsense that Anthony Martial could be a one-season wonder?
Yeah, it's absolute nonsense. You saw how he carried Manchester United last season. Massive impact on the FA Cup run as well. The goal that he scored in the sort of the dying moments in the semi-final against Everton, that was absolutely fantastic. Nice. Martial has the potential to be a world beater, and he will be a world beater. He scored more goals than any other Manchester United player since joining Manchester United. But anyway, in terms of the Rashford thing as well, I'd probably push Mourinho into the firing line there. I think Mourinho didn't make a tactical change to cover Oxlade-Chamberlain moving to right back. I don't think Marcus Rashford should have been out there. Paul Pogba should have been marking him. Paul Pogba should have been tracking him. He should have put Rashford to the other side and looked to play him on the break there. And I think it was a Mourinho mistake, not a Rashford mistake for me.
Definitely. And I'll say this as well about Anthony Martial. I mean, I know a few of you boys have been going United longer than me, with you being older than me, but I've had a season ticket now for 10 years, and there's not many players that I've seen that I think have more potential to become world class than Anthony Martial. I think the guy's absolute class, and let's just give him time. He's going to be great. He showed us last season why, and he's going to be great, I promise you. Right, moving on from that, let's talk about this game in particular against Feyenoord coming up. Is it going to be an interesting 11, or are we going to be surprised with how strong it is again? Statman Dave, what is your 11?
So I think it's going to be quite similar in terms of the strength of the team. I think that in goal, David De Gea is going to be in there. I'd probably go with the back four of Darmian, Jones, Rojo, Shaw. Push Shaw, get Shaw some game time. I love how Mourinho has broken Shaw down and now he's building him back up. He's absolutely torn him a new one in a press conference post the Watford game, and now he's slowly bringing him back, and Shaw will become a top player at Manchester United. Into my midfield, probably going to go with Schneiderlin, Paul Pogba, and potentially Memphis Depay at the tip in the number 10 spot. And then Mkhitaryan on the right, Lingard on the left, and Anthony Martial through the middle. I want to see him just as a striker again. Give him some game time there. Give him some minutes there, because he is a top player. Very good at holding up the ball. And the goals that he scored from that striking position have been pretty decent in his United career. The goal he scored against Liverpool and so forth. So yeah, Martial through the middle, Memphis Depay just off him.
Mkhitaryan in your starting 11 there. I mean, Jose said that he's probably going to feature in the game. Howson, do you think that Mkhitaryan's going to start?
No idea, mate. I'm amazed that he even knows who he is, actually, to talk about him in a press conference. My 11's going to be Romero in there. I'm going to go completely rotated, because I think West Ham's a big game now. We have to get the 3 points there. We have to start putting some consistent run together in the league. I genuinely couldn't give less of a shit about the Europa League if I tried. So here's my 11. Romero in there. Bosu Mensah right back. Not a fan of him at right back, but I am a fan of him getting games, and I think that's the place that he's probably going to get games. Darmian left back. Centre defence, Rojo and Blind. Schneiderlin in the holding role. I'm going for a 4-3-3. So the holding role is Schneiderlin. Rooney and Fellaini as my midfield two. Mkhitaryan on the right, Memphis on the left, and Martial up front. Give the likes of Zlatan another weekend off, or another week off. Get him fresh, ready for West Ham. Rashford, I think, needs a break. And there's a couple of other players like Pogba and Carrick who I think are going to be vital come weekend. So I would give those lads a break as well and see what this rotated side could do, because there's a lot of players in there that are fighting for places. Let's see how hungry they really are.
I would like to see a rotated side, and I've said this before every single Europa League game, that's what I want to see, but I can't see it happening in this one, especially with the current group standings at the minute. Feyenoord and Fenerbahce both above us on 7 points. We're a point behind them on 6 points. It's quite an important game if Jose's actually taking this competition seriously. Adam, what's your 11, mate?
My 11 would be David De Gea in goal, Damian Jones, Rojo, Shaw. So I'd bring Shaw back in. I've gone for Carrick, Schneiderlin and Rooney with Memphis, Mickey C and Zlatan up top. With the League Cup next week, Zlatan can get a game off after the West Ham game. So I'd give Valencia, Pogba, Herrera, Mata, Marshall and Rashford the rest ahead of the league game against West Ham. We need to win that game against West Ham. I hate this Thursday, Sunday thing. I can't stand it. And I'd just make like 6-7 changes.
Dave, you made an interesting point before we started this shoot about, what was it, Italian football and how they do it differently when it comes to the Europa League.
Yeah, it's a different schedule. They play if they play Europa League on Thursday, they play on Monday. So it gives the team an extra day's break, which I think could be a bit better for the Premier League. But unfortunately, Premier League is governed by money, and playing 3 games on a Monday isn't going to get you the cash.
Yeah, so I hate to remind you all about this, but we did, of course, lose our first game in the Europa League, and it was against Feyenoord, our opponents, on Thursday night. So who caused us the most problems in that game, and can you see them doing it again at Old Trafford? Stephen?
I don't even remember that game.
Right, well, Alson's loads of use there then, isn't he? Statman Dave, do you remember anything from the game?
Yeah, I think we shot ourselves in the foot, especially on that left-hand side. Marcus Rojo had one of the worst games of his career. If he doesn't do that when we're okay, I think in terms of our style as well, we sat off Feyenoord a bit too much. If we play the same way we played against Fenerbahce at home, where we really went out there and we pressed them quite aggressively in their half, I don't think Feyenoord have got enough to stick with United. They started off in the league campaign really well. They were top of the Eredivisie, but they've hit a little sticky patch of form, only 1 win in 4 games in the league. So hopefully United have enough to break them down.
Right, boys, let's get your score predictions in then. Statman Dave, tell me, what score do you think this one's going to finish?
I think Man United are going to win 4-1. I think it's going to be exactly the same as the game against Fenerbahce. It's going to be a destruction of the former Dutch greats.
4-1 would be absolutely sweet. Right, Halson, what score are you saying, mate?
I want to know what he's bbeen drinking this early in the morning to be coming out with predictions like that. I don't think it'll be 4-1. I think I can see 1-0, 2-1, 2-1, 2-all, 2. I don't know. It's going to be a close game, so I'm going to put my hat on 2-0 Manchester United.
2-0, sounds good, sounds good. Adam, what score are you saying then, mate?
How does the guy that is sitting there drinking Monster in the morning say, I don't know what he's drinking at this time in the morning?
He's a goth.
I don't know. About Feyenoord, yeah. Me and producer Chris were actually there, yeah. Steve doesn't know what happened in the game. We bloody do, because we were sat there, pissed off, United losing in Europe, yet again. We need to batter these, like. We can't let Dirk Kuyt score. United 3, Feyenoord 0.
We can't let Dirk Kuyt score. We cannot do that.
He's going to dab. He dabs.
Oh.
What 40-year-old dab?
He's proper Yadar in a pub, isn't he? Guys, thank you very much for joining us today. All some good predictions there. Let's hope United can do the business. And it would be a good win as well in terms of our Europa League campaign. It would put us possibly at the top of the group, but it would also put us in great stead for actually qualifying out of the group. So guys, Halson, Statman Dave and Adam McCullough, thank you very much for joining me. Everyone watching at home, get in the comments, give us your opinions, give us your United 11, tell us who we need to worry about Feyenoord, get your score predictions, get it all in below, give us a subscribe. We'll see you next time. Laters.